domestic surveillance. There was a hearing this week on domestic surveillance involving the NSA director, Admiral Michael Rogers. It was a pretty important hearing. It's got no attention as a result of the fraudulent media efforts to push a conspiracy theory that does not exist as a matter of definition with respect to the firing of Comey, and it's this. Believe it or not, under the questioning of Lindsey Graham, Rogers said to the committee, for everybody to hear, when it comes to unmasking, yes, there's only certain individuals who can ask for it. Lindsey Graham said, well, can we know in a specific case which individual asked to unmask a name? He said, yes. Well, how do you know? We keep a record at the NSA. Really? So if Susan Rice was to ask for the unmasking of an individual, you'd have a record of it? Yes. And we'd have a record of why we decided what we decided. So Lindsey Graham said, so in other words, you should be able to track down who might have leaked the name of Michael Flynn to the Washington Post, which is a felony. He said, it's quite possible we can. And then he added, this was interesting, but here's the thing, Senator. Most of the unmasking is done by the FBI, not by the NSA. I never knew that. Did you know that? I never heard that before. You heard that before? Most of the unmasking is done by the FBI. And so now we need to know from the FBI the same standards and circumstances of the NSA. And I suspect there's no doubt that when somebody asks to unmask a name, they have records of it. Again, as an old Justice Department Chief of Staff to a different Attorney General, there's a lot of records that are kept. And so it really shouldn't be that hard to know what should be a relatively small circle of people who asked for people to be unmasked. And notice this has gotten no coverage, none. And I'll tell you why. Because this opens up a Pandora's box. The unmasking of names. If we can track which officials at the White House, the National Security Council, or other positions in the government asked for the unmasking of Trump or Trump transition officials or other presidential candidates in the Republican primaries, or members of Congress, or certain American citizens, or certain political organizations, or other groups, I'm going to tell you something. There could be an awful lot there. That, to me, was incredible testimony yesterday, and I suspect you didn't hear a word of it. Even if you're a news junkie watching cable, watching network, watching satellite, reading everything you can get your hands on the internet, I suspect you didn't know this. Because it's another thing that's being crowded out by the phony stories that are being pushed by the media with respect to the firing of James Comey. But don't forget this, because I'm not going to forget it. We're going to turn back to this. And I know this sounds weird. This is 2 nights in a row. But I got to give Lindsey Graham credit for pressing this point and pressing it in an intelligent way to give us that information. That's important information. Don't forget it.